Hello guys, I'm Hunt Unit 751, bringing you the first of 4 special videos to say farewell to the Xbox 360 before we move on to the Xbox One. We had 7 great tournaments on the Halo 4 course on the Xbox 360, with dozens upon dozens of great moments and some amazing competitors. And it's these competitors that are the focal point for today's video, as we're going to look back at the best of them. We had 700 attempts on stage 1 of the Halo 4 course. Of those 700 attempts, 87 of them led to a stage 1 clear, 48 of them led to a stage 2 clear, and 2 of them led to a stage 3 clear. And of those 87 clears on stage 1, they were achieved by 33 different competitors. And today we're going to count them all down, just like we did on the Halo Reach course, to determine who is the best of the best. Now this countdown is going to be based on a number of factors, including your dedication with the amount of training that you do and the number of times you've competed on the course, your consistency in your performances, and most important of all, how far you've gotten on the course. Now, as some of you will of course worked out, this is only the top 25, so that means 8 people haven't made it onto the official countdown. But because I'm a nice guy, we're going to give him a quick shout out anyway. At number 25 is a one-time competitor on this course, H4 Logic. As I say, he only competed once on Ninja Warrior of Halo, but that one appearance did leave an impact on this course. He competed in Tournament 11, where he was looking good, moving through all the obstacles nicely, albeit at a slightly slow pace, so by the time he reached the last obstacle, time was running out. But he still made it just with less than a second left on the clock, and would go on to be one of the record 13 competitors to make it to the second stage in Tournament 11. His debut though came to an end in the second stage as he went out on the spider walk like several others did in this tournament. Now some of you might be wondering why this guy is on the countdown, considering he failed the spider walk and there were other competitors that got further than him that didn't make the top 25. The reason for that is his rather peculiar backstory. Just before Tournament 11 started, he messaged me asking if him and his friend, or perhaps that was fellow clan member, H4 Vision, could compete on the course. They both did, and whilst Vision failed the jump hang, we now know Logic was able to complete Stage 1, as well as keeping up the impressive record for newcomers on this course, making it to the second stage. The other peculiar thing about Logic is that after he did his run, I never saw him online ever again. Strange? Possibly. Controversial? Maybe. But nevertheless, he still made an impact for me, and as a result, he kicks off the countdown at number 25. Now for a competitor that I'm very happy to see on this countdown. At number 24, we have Ninja Warrior of Halo superfan Sukesh. One of the longest serving competitors on this course, Sukesh made his debut all the way back in Tournament 5, but never looked like he was going to complete the first stage. That all changed though in Tournament 11 on his 6th appearance when he finally took his chance and made it to the second stage. But like H4 Logic and like several others in this tournament, he would go out on the spider walk. Nevertheless, he had achieved the goal that he'd always wanted to achieve and went into the next tournament proudly boasting the rank of veteran. Sadly though, since that stage 1 success in Tournament 11, he's competed 5 times and not made it back to the second stage, although he has made it into the second half of stage 1 in all of his appearances and twice made it to the last obstacle in stage 1, including here in the final Xbox 360 tournament where he made it to the finish line but was just outside of the time limit. Nevertheless, Sukesh has without a doubt upped his game on the Halo 4 course in comparison to his performances on the Halo Reach course, and it was great to finally see him make it to stage 2 in Tournament 11, and as a result he takes his place at number 24. Next up is a competitor who set a new record in the final Xbox 360 tournament. At number 23 we have Red Alice 13, a competitor that's competed 4 times on the course, and on her 4th appearance she made history, completing the first stage to become the first ever female competitor to make it to stage 2. It was a truly historic moment in the history of Ninja Warrior of Halo, and a run that will go down in history, albeit it sadly came to an end at the metal spin in stage 2. Nevertheless, in her 4 appearances since making her debut in Tournament 13, she has undoubtedly stood out as being a solid competitor and become the most successful female competitor of all time on this course. And she has now set a benchmark for other female competitors to try to make it to stage 2. And I hope that one day she'll be back to try and make it to stage 2 for a second time. At number 22 we have Sleepy Slayer 5, another competitor who's been around for a long time, making his debut all the way back in Tournament 7, albeit his appearances have proven to be quite infrequent, as his first 4 appearances saw him compete in Tournament 7, 9, 11 and 13. And initially he struggled on both the Halo Reach and Halo 4 courses with the rolling ball and jump hang. But in Tournament 13 he had his breakthrough, making it through all the obstacles nicely and getting to the last obstacle, but sadly running out of time before he could finish. The performance though spurred him on, and he returned in the very next tournament, and in Tournament 14 he finally achieved his goal, something he'd been trying to achieve for 18 months. He made it to stage 1's finish line and completed it in the time limit, with a bit of lag along the way. And by a little lag, I mean quite a lot of lag. He was one of the, at the time, record 15 competitors to make it to stage 2 in Tournament 14, and he was looking good, but sadly the metal spin chopped him down. Sleepy hasn't competed since he made it to stage 2 in Tournament 14, but I hope Sleepy will be back on the Xbox One, and hopefully will get another chance at making it to the second stage. At number 21, we've got So, or Snoozberries as he prefers to be known. He has competed 4 times on the course, making his debut back in Tournament 13 when he went through the qualifiers, and his debut was looking good up until the redesigned jump hang, where he was one of many to fail it. In Tournament 14 though, on only his 2nd appearance, he completed the first stage with plenty of time to spare, and made it to the second stage, where like Sleepy, he went out on the metal spin, and in fact he was the first ever competitor to fail the metal spin. His 2 appearances since then have seen him get to the 6th obstacle, but he's failed it both times. Nevertheless, Snoz has shown all of the skills and qualities that saw him get all the way to the final stage on Smokey Massacre's Halo Ninja Warrior before, and I've no doubt in my mind that we will one day see Snoz back on the second stage and maybe go even further in a future tournament of Ninja Warrior of Halo. But for now, he takes his place at 21st. Next up is the first of 10 competitors who also featured on the Halo Reach countdown. At number 20 we have Duster Buster 2K, one of the most experienced competitors of all time on Ninja Warrior of Halo. Duster has competed in 12 of the 16 tournaments and 5 of the 7 Halo 4 tournaments. He's made it to the Warped Wall 4 times and twice completed the first stage in tournaments 11 and 13. Sadly though, his stage 2 attempts have both ended in failure. first going out on the spider walk, and then in Tournament 13 he made it to the last obstacle, but ran out of time. After Tournament 13, he took a 2-tournament absence before returning for the final Xbox 360 tournament, where despite getting one of his highest ever numbers, Duster surprisingly went out early on the jump hang in Stage 1. As a result, Duster has been unable to build on his performances on the Halo Reach course, which saw him get to Stage 3 in Tournament 8, and he's in fact dropped 9 places from his finishing position of 11th, which he got on the Halo Reach countdown. Nevertheless, Duster has still done enough to make it into the top 20, and let's hope we can see this experienced veteran back on the Xbox One. Next up is Cam2602, a competitor that I've actually got to know in real life. Cam made his debut in Tournament 11 and competed 6 times, and initially he showed some real promise, making it to the warped wall in both of his first 2 appearances. A slightly underwhelming performance did follow in Tournament 13, but in Tournament 14 he was finally able to complete the first stage and show us his real potential, making it to the second stage, and this actually proved to be the confidence booster that Cam needed, as he would go on to complete the first stage 3 times in a row in Tournaments 14, 15 and 16, meaning he has a record of 3 straight Stage 1 failures followed by 3 straight Stage 1 clears. In fact, if there's one word I could use to describe Cam, it's probably consistent. And by that I mean he consistently fails the same obstacle in the same way pretty much, because in his 3 Stage 2 attempts, all 3 of them have seen him run out of time on the vehicle ramps. In fact, 5 of his 6 attempts have been timeouts, and only once has he fallen in the water. So speed is clearly the issue for Cam. Nevertheless, I think Cam has gone on a real journey, and it's no easy feat to make it to the second stage 3 tournaments in a row. As a result, Cam comes in at number 19 on our countdown. Well, we've only just reached the top 18, and already we've reached the first of our Stage 3 finalists. At number 18, we have Shadia Degree 02. Now, this is the competitor that came out of nowhere in the final Xbox 360 tournament and produced a debut that would inspire any newcomer. Shadia moved through the first stage very nicely. He wasn't the fastest in the world, but he still did enough to make it to the finish line on time. But then in the second stage he went much faster and produced an incredible performance to comfortably make it to the third stage. It was in the third stage though where he really showed his stuff. He was cool, he was calm, he was a little bit slow at times, but he did everything he needed to do to go through obstacle after obstacle. And although his debut finally came to an end on the jumping bars, it was an unbelievable performance from a competitor that just literally came out of nowhere and stunned the course. Sadly though, Shadia is much lower on this countdown because he's only been on the course once and he has shown no consistency, and we're yet to see whether this performance could be a fluke. So hopefully I'll see him back on the Xbox One, back on the third stage, and maybe even further in a future tournament. At number 17 we have Killer the Man, the New Zealander who just loves being called an Australian. Killer competed in the final 2 Xbox 360 tournaments, coming into them having established a reputation following some strong performances on Halo Ninja Warrior. And on his debut in Tournament 15 he didn't disappoint, producing a performance that, to be honest, we've become used to seeing from newcomers. He made it through the first stage nicely, and then made it through the second stage just as smoothly, making it to the third stage where he would ultimately go out on the brand new Curtain Cling. Nevertheless, it was a strong start to his Ninja Warrior of Halo career, and it looked like he was on his way back to the third stage on his second appearance in the final Xbox 360 tournament. He completed the first stage nicely, but in the second stage, although he was going through the obstacles, time was starting to run out, and he panicked on the vehicle ramps and was left hanging like a chump with the finish line right there, but the clock hit 0. Nevertheless, Killer has undoubtedly made a strong start to his Ninja Warrior of Halo career, and I'm hoping to see more of the same from him on the Xbox One. At number 16, finishing one place higher than he did on the Halo Reach countdown, is Soul Reaper 1025, the British competitor who has been around since the first ever Halo Reach tournament. Soul has competed 11 times, 5 of those on the Halo 4 course, during which he's completed the first stage 3 times in tournaments 12, 14 and 16, but most crucial of all, in tournament 12 he was able to complete the second stage for the first time ever and advance to the third stage, where despite his best efforts he would ultimately go out early on the body prop. Since then, however, Soul has been unable to make it back to the third stage, with both of his 2 stage 2 attempts seeing him go out first on the metal spin and then running out of time on the vehicle ramps. Nevertheless, Soul has definitely upped his game since he made it to stage 2 in the final Halo Reach tournament, and I hope to see more of this experienced titan on the Xbox One. At number 15, we've got Gotenks, the 2-time Stage 4 finalist from Halo Ninja Warrior, who's only competed 3 times on this course, but he's already made it to the third stage twice, including on his debut in Tournament 14, when he flew through the first stage very nicely, and on the second stage looked equally as smooth, with his debut only coming to an end after a rather unusual technique he used on the Globe Grasp, which saw him drop out. After an underwhelming performance in Tournament 15 when he was one of 8 competitors to fail the warped wall, he returned for the final Xbox 360 tournament, where he only just completed the first and second stage within the time limit, but he made it back to the third stage and ended up producing his best performance so far, reaching the cliffhanger, which in previous tournaments would have been a very good performance, but in this tournament he ended up finishing a very low 10th place. Nevertheless, like Killer Demand, Gotenks has made a strong start to his Ninja Warrior of Halo career, and I look forward to seeing more of the same in the future. At number 14, we've got Expose, a competitor who has been competing 5 times on this course with a pretty solid record. He's made it to the second stage 3 times and the third stage twice. In Tournament 12, he was the first competitor to complete Stage 1, and then he also completed Stage 2, becoming the first newcomer to make it to the third stage on his debut since Tournament 4, and arguably he was the competitor that started the trend for newcomers making it to Stage 3 on their debuts. He failed the body prop, but then in Tournament 14 he made it to the cliffhanger. Both times he finished in 3rd place. One slight weakness for Expose though is his consistency, as he's never completed Stage 1 2 tournaments in a row, and in the final Xbox 360 tournament he went out on Stage 2. Nevertheless, Expose has looked pretty solid so far, and let's hope to see more of that on the Xbox One. But for now, he comes in at 14th. At number 13, we have Alpha Puma, one of the biggest rising stars in Halo jumping at the moment. Puma has only competed twice on this course, but it has really been a tale of 2 runs. On his debut in Tournament 15, he failed the rolling ball in Stage 1. So to prepare for Tournament 16, he trained like he's never trained before, and it paid off. In Stage 1, he was able to complete it with the 4th fastest time in the tournament. And then in Stage 2, he moved with the same speed and confidence to complete that very easily. In Stage 3 though, his training really was made to look like perfection. He made it through the first 7 obstacles so comfortably, like it was just unbelievable. He incredibly looked like he had a chance of making it to the final stage. But then an unlucky bounce as he got onto the mongoose slider meant he was very sadly knocked out right with the finish line there. Nevertheless, it was unbelievable from Puma. It's one of the greatest comebacks I have ever seen, not just in Ninja Warrior of Halo, but Halo jumping history. To go from failing very early in Stage 1 to then making it all the way to the last obstacle of Stage 3. Just words cannot describe it. And I think it is just the beginning for Alpha Puma. At number 12, also finishing one place higher than he did on the Halo Reach countdown, is Sideshow Freak, another of our longtime competitors who has sadly announced that he has retired from Ninja Warrior of Halo at the end of the Xbox 360. Sideshow Freak competed in 5 of the Halo 4 tournaments, and incredibly, he completed Stage 1 in all 5 of them, giving him a 100% success rate on Stage 1. Tournament 13, though, proved to be his blockbuster tournament, as he completed the second stage for the first time ever on his 6th time of asking. And made it to the third stage, where he was looking good right up to the cliffhanger when he was controversially disqualified after missing the third ledge. He made it back to stage 3 in tournament 15, but missed out on making it on his final ever appearance in tournament 16, when he was one of another competitor to go out on the metal spin. Nevertheless, Sideshow Freak leaves with a solid record of 8 Stage 1 clears in 11 attempts and no failures on Stage 1 in his final 5 appearances. There'll always be a place for him should he wish to return, but for now he retires in 12th place. Just missing out on a place in the top 10 is Buddy Jumps, our favourite German competitor, who came out of nowhere to stun the jumping community when on his second appearance on Halo Ninja Warrior he became the first ever Grand Champion of that course. And he has continued to look like champion material on this course as well. In 3 appearances he's beaten stage 1 all 3 times and made it to the third stage twice. First time in tournament 14 he failed the cliffhanger but finished in 2nd place in that tournament. And then in the final Xbox 360 tournament he went further, making it to the Devil's Jump, finishing in 6th place. So Buddy has looked strong, but it remains to be seen whether Buddy will be back due to the inconsistency he's shown with competing on jumping courses these days. But if he does return, let's hope he continues to show all the skills and abilities that he possesses on this course. At number 10, we have Master Neuro Mac, another competitor who's really come out of nowhere to establish himself as one of the future stars on this course. Like Buddy, Neuro Mac has competed 3 times and has an almost identical record, with 3 stage 1 clears in 3 attempts and twice making it to the 3rd stage. His first attempt saw him just miss out on making it to the 3rd stage when he ran out of time at the end of stage 2. In tournament 15 on his 2nd appearance he made it to the cliffhanger in stage 3, but this is where he has the edge on Buddy. In tournament 16 he made it to the last jump of stage 3 and almost made history by reaching the final stage, but just fell short. The big factor that makes Neuro Mac stand out is the wide variety of unique techniques that he likes to use on all the stages, the most notable one of course being his Bunpei Shiratori technique on the jump hang, and he's just been a real breath of fresh air with the variety of techniques he likes to use. And I really look forward to seeing what Neuro Mac can do on the Xbox One, and if he can continue this fine form, he could put himself in the reckoning to become a future all-star. Now this is the point in the countdown where things really started to get difficult and some tough choices had to be made. Dropping 4 places from his finishing position of 5th on the Halo Reach countdown is a Medpack, or as he's been more commonly known on the Halo 4 course, Gametypes. Gametypes is one of the most experienced competitors of all time and competed in all 7 of the Halo 4 tournaments. He got off to a pretty strong start, beating the first stage in both of the first 2 Halo 4 tournaments, but on both occasions he then went on to fail the second stage, continuing his losing streak on that stage. In Tournament 12 though, he suddenly started to suffer a real bad patch of form, as he failed stage 1 3 times in a row, all 3 of them on the last obstacle. But he bounced back in style in the final 2 Xbox 360 tournaments, completing them both comfortably with plenty of time left on the clock. In Tournament 15 he finally broke his Stage 2 losing streak, making it to the 3rd stage for the first time since Tournament 6, where he produced his best ever performance on the course, making it to the cliffhanger finishing in 6th place. But then, in the final Xbox 360 tournament, he went even further, defeating the cliffhanger for the first time ever, and making it to the jumping bars, where he was ultimately beaten, but finished in 7th place. Gametypes has one of the best records of all time on Ninja Warrior of Halo, and has a pretty decent record on Halo 4. But despite this though, I just can't look past those 3 straight Stage 1 failures that he suffered. And as a result, regretfully, he comes in a little bit lower than he would have expected, in 9th place. Coming in at number 8, also dropping 4 places from his finishing position on the Halo Reach countdown, is the godfather of Halo jumping, Double Ump, the most experienced competitor of all time in Halo jumping history. Was one of several competitors to make the transition from the Halo Reach course to the Halo 4 course, and competed in the first Halo 4 tournament in Tournament 10, where he was looking solid on Stage 1, but the warped wall cost him, and he ran out of time on the last obstacle of Stage 1. He made it back to Stage 3 though in Tournament 11, where he was once again beaten by his old enemy, the Pillar Path. He then took a 2-tournament absence for unknown reasons, returning in Tournament 14, and since then he has been very solid on Stage 1, completing it in all 3 occasions, and making it to the 3rd stage twice in Tournaments 14 and 15, where he's made it to the cliffhanger both times to produce his best ever performance, finishing in 5th place on both occasions. He had a very unlucky failure on the metal spin in the final Xbox 360 tournament, which prevented him from making it 3 tournaments in a row on Stage 3. So overall, has had a pretty solid record on Halo 4, and may consider himself a bit unlucky to have dropped 4 places from his finishing position on the Halo Reach countdown. That is simply down to other people's results. And with how many years he's been doing this, you may begin to wonder just how much more he has left to offer. Hopefully a lot more, and we'll see him back again on the Xbox One. At number 7, and our second highest new competitor on the countdown, by that I mean a competitor that didn't feature on the Halo Reach countdown, the honour goes to Sane the Legend. Sane made his debut in the first Halo 4 tournament, where on his debut, surprisingly, he was able to complete Stage 1. That might not seem very surprising, considering the number of newcomers we've seen beat Stage 1 on this course. But what does make it surprising is that he was one of only 6 competitors to beat Stage 1 in this tournament. Sadly, reality returned in Stage 2 as he failed the first obstacle, the brand new chain reaction. He didn't compete in Tournament 11, but he returned for Tournament 12 and has been in every tournament since then. Sadly, despite the heroics of his debut performance, following this, Sane struggled, failing Stage 1 3 times in a row, including 2 failures on 2 different versions of the jump hang, and 1 timeout on the last obstacle. He returned in Tournament 15 with a vengeance, and was finally able to get his second Stage 1 clear. But what followed was one of the greatest stories ever in Ninja Warrior of Halo history. He beat Stage 2 for the first time ever, advancing to the 3rd stage, where on the 3rd stage he completed the first 7 obstacles, including 4 brand new obstacles for this tournament, making it to the Mongoose Slider, and only just missing out on making it to the final stage. He finished in 1st place, something which nobody would have predicted at the beginning of that tournament. And then in Tournament 16, he replicated it and went 1 step further. He made it back to the Mongoose Slider, becoming only the 4th competitor to ever make it there in back-to-back tournaments. He beat his Tournament 15 result, and then he heartbreakingly failed on the last jump of Stage 3, just missing out on making it to the final stage, finishing tied for 2nd place. Although Sane's record might not be as impressive as Gametypes or Ump's with 3 Stage 1 clears in 6 attempts, his 2 performances in the last 2 360 tournaments, you cannot deny just how good that was and just how much potential Sane has. At number 6, we have All-Star Drago is Sick, one of the oldest competitors on this course, and one of the longest serving all-stars on this course. He'd established himself as the third best competitor on the Halo Reach course behind USS Defiant 1 and Re-95, but following Defiant's retirement after Tournament 10 and Re's early struggles on the Halo 4 course, Drago saw this as an opportunity and set out his mantra to becoming the #1 competitor on this course. And it started out very well. He finished in first place in both of the first two Halo 4 tournaments, and in fact he's one of only 2 competitors to finish in first place in back-to-back tournaments on Halo 4. Sadly though, in Tournament 12, in his first appearance wearing the number 100, he suffered a shock exit on Stage 2, and since then he never got past the body prop in Stage 3, which culminated in this heartbreaking failure on it for a second time in the final Xbox 360 tournament. Drago has now decided to retire, ending his long association with Halo jumping courses. And in my eyes, I think it's simply because he isn't up for it anymore. He's lost the desire that he once had. He's a man who has always given his all and was so determined to become the #1 competitor. But to have seen his collapse, to see his fall from grace the way he has, although he's kept up a very solid Stage 1 record and beaten Stage 1 more times than any other competitor on this course, I just couldn't justify putting him higher than 6th when he's only beaten the second obstacle of Stage 3 once in 6 attempts. And as a result, regretfully, he ends his career in 6th place on our countdown. Kicking off the top 5 is Elite MKB, the pro racer who continues to defy the odds, going from strength to strength after his performances on the Halo Reach course, carrying them into the Halo 4 course. He got his Halo 4 career off to a strong start, making it to Stage 3 alongside Drago as SIG and securing his first ever top 2 finish. Despite this though, as the first competitor ever to attempt the Rumbling Dice, he was the first and only competitor ever to fail it. Despite this early exit though, it was still a strong start, and Elite continued to go from strength to strength, improving on his performances each time he made it to Stage 3. However, Tournament 14 he suffered a major setback as his speed proved to be his downfall as he went out early on the jump hang in Stage 1. Despite this though, in Tournament 15 he once again showed his ability to bounce back, and made it back to Stage 3, and once again produced a personal best, reaching the cliffhanger for the first time ever. He suffered a humiliating exit though in the final Xbox 360 tournament when he went out on the Spider Walk and ended up producing the worst attempt out of all 22 of the Stage 2 finalists. Nevertheless though, with 6 Stage 1 clears in 7 attempts on Halo 4 and 4 Stage 3 attempts, including 3 personal bests, you cannot deny that Elite has stood out as one of the top competitors and most consistent competitors on the Halo 4 course, and has rightfully deserves a place amongst the top competitors of all time on Ninja Warrior of Halo. The question is, will Mike continue to defy the odds on the Xbox One, or will he find himself spinning out of contention? In 4th place is Spiteful, the Halo Customs host and ace marksman who has established himself as one of the top jumpers on the Halo 4 course. But it didn't always used to be like that. Spiteful made his debut on Ninja Warrior of Halo back in Tournament 6, and in 4 attempts on the Halo Reach course, he failed Stage 1 all 4 times and had little to no impact at all on the stage and didn't look like completing it at all. That all changed though in Tournament 10, when he was the first ever competitor to beat Stage 1 on Halo 4, and he almost became the first to beat Stage 2 as well, just missing out, falling at the very end on the vehicle ramps. This, however, proved to be the springboard for Spiteful's success, as he would go on to complete Stage 1 in all 7 of the Halo 4 tournaments, something which no other competitor came close to matching, and it was a record that he will now hold forever. That's not the only record, though, that Spiteful holds. Those 7 straight Stage 1 clears is also the best winning run by any competitor ever on Ninja Warrior of Halo, and he also holds the fastest ever Stage 1 clear time in the history of the show. In Tournament 13, he broke his Stage 2 losing streak after 3 straight failures on the vehicle ramps, and would go on to make it to the 3rd stage 3 straight tournaments in a row, from Tournaments 13 through to 15. And that culminated in him producing his best ever attempt in Tournament 15, making it to the cliffhanger. So overall, Spiteful has had an unbelievable record and shown some unbelievable performances on Halo 4, and as our highest placed new competitor comes in at 4th place. Well, I never thought I'd be saying this, but hey ho, here goes. Taking the bronze medal for the best ever competitors on the Halo 4 course is the king of the derps himself, X-Dom de Bomb X. But then, even that title doesn't seem very fair on Dom, because although he has shown all of the characteristics that earned him the title King of the Derps in the first place, Dom has also shown us all of the skills and abilities that have made him into the jumping tactician that he is now. In his 7 appearances on Halo 4, although he has timed out on Stage 1 on 2 of those occasions, his other 5 attempts saw him beat Stage 1 and beat Stage 2 in all 5 of them, giving him a 100% success rate on the 2nd stage. 5 Stage 3 attempts on the Halo 4 course is also the 2nd most out of any competitor on Halo 4, and that includes 4 straight tournaments in a row when he made it to Stage 3, which is also the 2nd best record out of anyone ever on Ninja Warrior of Halo. What's most impressive though for Dom is that during each of his Stage 3 attempts he continued to get better and better, producing personal best after personal best. He finished in 2nd place in Tournament 12 and produced this heartbreaking exit on the final Xbox 360 tournament and his final appearance, just missing out on beating the cliffhanger, but it was still his best ever attempt. And now he retires, I think, with his head held high. As his friend, I'm so sad to see Dom go. But I, and I hope I'm not the only one, am very proud of Dom for the performances he's put in, to turn himself from being a competitor that was seen as being a joke and had no hope of succeeding, to becoming an all-star of this course. He may still be king of the derps, but he's also the 3rd best jumper on Halo 4. Finishing in the runner-up spot is the man who finished in 1st place on the Halo Reach Countdown. It is the former Grand Champion and All-Star, Re95, the man considered by some to be the most successful competitor ever in Halo jumping history. Ree's Halo 4 career didn't get off to the best of starts though in Tournament 10, as he ran out of time on the last obstacle of Stage 1 and was one of 94 competitors to fail the stage in this tournament. But since then, Ree has continued to show all of his skills and abilities that made him into a Grand Champion in the first place. Apart from Tournament 14 when he didn't compete, Ree has made it to Stage 3 in every tournament since Tournament 11. And like Dom, he got better and better each time. In Tournament 15, he beat the cliffhanger for the first time since Tournament 6. But then in Tournament 16, he saved the best till last. On his 14th and final ever appearance on the course, he made it to the last obstacle of Stage 3. His best performance on the course since he achieved total victory in Tournament 4, but he heartbreakingly missed out on the last jump and just missed out on making it to the final stage for a 3rd time. Nevertheless, Ree leaves with his head held high. Although he only achieved a 1st place finish once on the Halo 4 course, he still retires with 10 Stage 1 clears in 14 attempts, a 100% success rate on Stage 2, more attempts on Stage 3 than any other competitor ever, and most important of all, he achieved the Kanzen Seiha that he was so desperate, that he craved more than anything back in Tournament 4 on the Halo Reach course, to become the 1st ever Grand Champion of Ninja Warrior of Halo. He may be gone now, but he will never be forgotten on this show. Sadly though, his retirement only sees him finish in 2nd place. And with that, we've come to number 1. I wonder who it could be. Before we find out though, let's look back at 25 to 2. Kicking off the top 25 was H4 Logic. At 24, one of Ninja Warrior of Halo's biggest fans in Sukesh. At 23, our record-breaking heroine, Red Alice 13. At 22, we've got Sleepy Slayer 5. At 21, we had Old Man Snoozberries. Kicking off the top 20 was Duster Buster 2K, dropping 9 places from his finishing position on the Halo Reach countdown. At 19, we had the King of Slow himself, Cam2602. At 18, we had Shadia Degree 02. At 17, we had the New Zealander, Killer the Man. At 16, climbing 1 place, was Soul Reaper 1025. At 15, we had Gotanks, who just loves getting beaten up by his friends. At 14, we had another Brit in Expose. At 13, we had Rising Star Alpha Puma. At 12, we had the experienced veteran Sideshow Freak. At 11, just missing out on the top 10, was the German maestro Buddy Jumps. Kicking off the top 10 at 10 was Master Neuro Mac. In 9th place, dropping 4 places, was the experienced veteran Gametypes. Also dropping 4 places to 8th was the godfather of Halo jumping, Double Ump. At 7th was our first place finisher in Tournament 15, Sane the Legend. In 6th was All-Star Drago is Sick, dropping 3 places. In 5th, climbing 1 place, was Elite MKB. Our highest placed new competitor on the countdown in 4th was Spiteful. Climbing 6 places was the King of the Derps, X-Dom-Dom-X in 3rd. And just missing out in 2nd place was Re95. Which brings us to number 1, and it goes to the host of Halo Ninja Warrior, the Crabman, the King of the Crabs, whatever you want to call him. At number 1 is Smokey Massacre, the man who rose from the ashes on Halo Reach to not only become the best competitor on Halo 4, but one of the best competitors ever on Ninja Warrior of Halo. Smokey has undoubtedly been the star, the shining light for the competitors on Halo 4. From his very first attempt in Tournament 10, you could tell that this was a different Smokey. Even though he failed Stage 1 in this tournament, he was brimming with such confidence. This was not the same competitor that had struggled through the Halo Reach course. And it can be no coincidence that from when he officially started running his own obstacle course, Halo Ninja Warrior, his results improved. Building his own courses and testing out all the obstacles to make sure that they were perfectly sound, as well as the additional training he put in on this course to make himself better, tougher, more prepared, and to perfect all of his techniques. And it has paid dividends. Following his Stage 1 failure in Tournament 10, Smokey made it to the 3rd stage in every Halo 4 tournament after that. 6 straight Stage 3 attempts is the best record ever out of any competitor on this course. And it brought with him some incredible performances. In Tournament 14, he made it to the final stage for the first time ever in his career, where he made it to the last jump, but tragically fell just short. In Tournament 16 though, he got a second chance. In the final Xbox 360 tournament, he made it back to the final stage for his second shot at glory. And this time he took it. He reached the top of the tower and smashed the button to write himself into the history books, becoming the 2nd ever Grand Champion of Ninja Warrior of Halo. It was an unbelievable moment and the perfect way to end the Xbox 360 tournaments. And this from a competitor who absolutely 100% deserved it. This was a guy who, on the Halo Reach course, didn't look like he was going to become a top competitor. He beat Stage 1 only once in 4 attempts, and with the fact he finished only 18th on the Halo Reach countdown, it highlighted his lack of promise on this course. But Smokey has shown that if you train hard enough, you practice hard enough, if you want it enough, then you can achieve anything. And for that reason, Smokey Massacre is not only the #1 competitor on Halo 4, but he's the reigning champion of Ninja Warrior of Halo. And with that, we've come to the end of today's story, but the adventure is not over yet on the Xbox 360. We still have 3 more chapters to tell before we say farewell for good. And I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video, and you'll be back for more next time. Until then, I've been Hunt Unit 751, and I hope you've all had a lovely Christmas and have a happy New Year, and we'll see you guys next time. Until then, all that's left to say is ta-ta.